Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. On today's show, we're talking about the acceleration of AI capability. Now, what I'm about to share is my own first-hand experience with writing a complete software application for the Mac in less than 15 minutes. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's all good, Victor. You're an engineer and you're used to doing super complicated things. While that may be true, what I did yesterday was nothing amazing at all. I used the simplest of prompts that you could possibly imagine to generate a program from scratch. So let me be clear. I've never written a software program for macOS, and I've not read any of the documentation on where to start or how to do it. Yes, I've designed software in the past, I've designed microchips, but I have not written macOS applications. I installed the Claude application from Anthropic, which includes their chat interface, the cowork interface, and the Claude code interface. And here's what I asked the chat interface. I said, using already existing open source tools, create an Apple Macintosh application to play tic-tac-toe. Confirm your plan with me before executing, including the cost to develop it using Claude code. Here's what it came back with. It proposed an approach where it will create a Mac native application using Swift and Swift UI. These are Apple's modern user interface framework, and it's the most straightforward approach for Mac development, requiring no third-party dependencies. They proposed a technology stack consisting of the Swift application and Xcode, which is their development environment, and it's available for free from the Mac App Store. It provided a justification for that particular approach. It said there's no external dependencies or open source libraries required. It would provide native performance and native look and feel. By using these libraries, the user interface is simple and it would be declarative. And then finally, it would work with all of the newest versions of macOS. It estimated the development time to be somewhere between 1 to 2 hours. And then it provided a breakdown. It told how much would be required for the project setup, for the logic of the game, the user interface, the win, lose, draw detection software, and then finally some testing and bug fixes. It estimated the cost at somewhere between $2 to $5 to write this application. And then it asked me a bunch of questions. Do I have the Xcode installed? Is there a particular preferred version of macOS that I am targeting? Are there any specific user interface requirements that I have? And would I want to play the game against an AI opponent or just keep it as a two-player game for now? So I told it that I had indeed installed Xcode, that I gave it the current version of the operating system, and I told it that I would play just human to human instead of human to computer. It gave me the choice of building the application two different ways. One is using Claude code, or it would write the software and then provide me that software to paste manually into the software development environment so I could build it myself. And the second approach would be absolutely free. There would be no cost to doing that. Now, you'll notice that this kind of interaction that might take place between myself and an employee is what would happen if I was walking through the thought process with one of my staff. Except in this particular case, I'm talking to a language model, not a human. I chose neither option. I chose to use Claude Cowork instead of Claude Code, and I pasted the entire prompt that Claude generated for me directly into Cowork just to see what would happen. After only a couple of minutes, it said all of the files are ready in the folder you selected. The project is fully functional and ready to build in Xcode. So I said, wow, that was fast. It was nowhere near the 1 to 2 hours that were being predicted. So I opened Xcode and hit the required command and immediately got 3 error messages. So I went back to Cowork and told it I got 3 error messages. Now, to nobody's surprise, I pasted the 3 error messages into Cowork and it responded immediately that it had fixed the 3 bugs in the program and that it was now working correctly. So I set about to test the program, and lo and behold, I now have a functioning game of tic-tac-toe on my computer that an AI tool wrote for me, custom, in only a few minutes. This is a custom program just for me. The specification was mine. I told it to use a blue banner in the window, and my game has a blue banner. I realize there's nothing particularly earth-shattering about a game of tic-tac-toe, but let me put this in context for you. I have a pretty good idea of what it takes to write a program of this complexity. I've been programming computers since the 1970s, and I've been designing computer chips since the 1980s, including microprocessors that form the heart of computation and communication systems for more than a few decades. I know what it takes to design a software program. It starts with a specification, then into design, then coding, then testing. Now, I didn't need to tell the AI what the rules were for a game of tic-tac-toe. It could look up the rules much faster than I could describe them. I didn't need to tell it what kind of human interface to choose. It chose a pretty sensible balance of window size, proportion, size of the characters and spaces, and so on. In actual fact, the program was created much faster than the original estimate of 1 to 2 hours. I did lose a few minutes trying to figure out what to do when the first attempt failed when there were 3 error messages. At first, I put on my engineering hat and tried to debug the error messages myself, but pretty quickly realized that I should just send the work back to my employee, in this case the AI tool, and tell it to fix the problems that crept into the software somewhere along the way. And it fixed them readily in only a few seconds. The true power of the process is that I got AI to write the instructions for writing the software from a pretty vague set of specifications. It showed me that far more complex systems can be solved using this approach with only a few minutes of thought. That opens up the world of solutions that would have been unthinkable only a few months ago. These tools are collapsing the cost of writing software virtually down to zero. The large-scale adoption of these approaches will change the world. In fact, I will argue that it already has. As you think about that, have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow.